switches on here.
They are for the gate.
All right.
Kind of like we'll make it so it's more specific, up close to you than away. But we should have a good setup.
Cool.
Yeah, man. How you doing?
Are we rolling?
Yeah,
Is this
I
happening?
just hit record. Yes,
Oh
I
my
always
goodness.
was
Hello.
doing a
Hello, universe.
yes, doing just a little bit of a mic check, kind of during to make sure everything's going well.
Cool.
Yeah, but welcome to They Came From the Underground, everybody, coming to you live. No, we're not live. From Lefty's Live Music, Des Moines, Iowa, University Boulevard. Or Avenue? Is it Avenue?
Yeah, man. It's one of the two, I believe.
Okay,
Yeah.
one of two avenues in all of Des Moines, so you know roughly where we're at. Right, well, we're sitting in with us today. We got Ian Pope. He was just a headliner on the recent showcase I was on. Been in the game much, definitely longer than I have. But we are happy to have him here. Ian, how you doing?
Honored to be here, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
By all means, I'm happy you agreed to do it. Yeah, man. How long have you been doing comedy now?
Wow. Well, my very first time on stage was actually coming up November of 2016.
Oh, really?
It was actually the day after the 2016 election. So, but that was kind of a sporadic start for me. And then here in Des Moines, pretty continuously for at least the past couple years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right on, man.
Yeah.
So where are you from? Where did you say you're from originally?
Well, I'm from here in Des Moines, but
You're
when
from
I
here?
was first starting comedy, I would drive to Cedar Rapids to go to Penguin's Comedy
nice.
Club
Yeah.
on Wednesday nights. Just because I was a coward, I was just too afraid to do it here.
Yeah.
So
I get that.
Yeah, man. I would leave town. I would call them on the way, let them know I was coming,
Right.
and then go out there. An hour and a half or 2 hours, 5 minutes. Record it all, of course, and then as I was getting on the interstate leaving Cedar Rapids, I would press play on the recording and either relive my triumph or more often than not relive the pain. So yeah, and then it was a long drive home thinking about it. But
that is definitely one of the things I do like. I'm like 40 minutes from Ames where I live, and so every time I do a set, I at least have that everywhere I'm going, which is either enough time for me to really destroy myself or just enough where I'm like, okay, I can just avoid it and just focus on just getting into town.
yeah,
I can pretend like this never happened. I can just tell myself like, okay, this is just a practice run. It was just bullshit. You'll figure it out next time.
right. Yeah, it can be too long. There's a lot of time to think about it. So, but those moments, like especially in the very, very first few times I went up, when just, I would just pick out the smallest thing that would hit, or maybe there was like a chuckle in the back, and I'd be like, "Oh shit!" There was
I'm onto something.
that guy's laughing in the back.
Yeah.
So it was very small victories that kept me very satisfied at first.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like that couple, if you get like one or two people laughing, that'll at least give you that like, okay, so I think I might have something here.
Yeah.
Maybe it didn't hit, but it might have just been those people's problem.
Well, yeah, I mean, I knew that I had a long way to go, but it was just trying to find a glimmer of hope, something to cling to.
Right,
I don't know.
yeah.
I knew that I had found something that was very, very, very interesting to me, and so I was just feeling it out.
Right, yeah.
I didn't really have any hopes of being like good off the bat,
Yeah.
I've always kind of approached comedy with a long lens. I was
That's the best way to do it.
31 when I started, so
Yeah.
that's pretty late. But
True.
a lot of life had happened up to 31, and so I felt like that was good preparation.
Oh, 100%.
So, I
Yeah.
don't know.
No, I agree. Yeah, that's kind of that's a thing that you hear a lot of comics talk about, is wanting to have started sooner. It was like when you look, but it's all comparison, and they all go, I think it's all based on the fact that they love it. And they're like, I wish I would have had this in my life longer. It's like, but I also think realistically, certain things had to happen for them to even get to that point.
Right.
Where it's like, well, those things just weren't happening at that age. Like Chappelle obviously started when he was like 16, but he also was like fully aware of that world and then had that confidence to him. Like at 16, my only hope of performance was being in a band where I could just present a thing, and then I can just leave, and then and then I have to hear about it later, so I can like more easily live in a delusion that it is going well.
Sure.
Because I don't have to, because there's no immediate feedback. Like because I think I had talked about this with, I think it was Cooper, somebody. But we were talking about how people will just like clap and cheer for you as a musician, but when you're doing badly as a comedian because one of the things that makes a real bomber set good is that like waiting because there's the sense that it's all gonna be bad, but then maybe it'll be building up to something. And then when you can hear this, and then when you can tell the joke change and it's no longer on topic, and they have nothing more to say about that, so there is no joke. That's pretty funny too, just because there's a lot of suspense that just got broke by being like, oh, there we've been we thought it's like when you have a pause with someone because you thought that they were gonna keep talking.
Sure.
And then it's just silent for a minute. And you're like, oh shit, okay, so well, let me get in there. I didn't realize you were stopping for me, but. Yeah, but when you're a band, people are just like, oh, he can play a guitar, so like that's pretty cool.
Right.
Like they're like, I can't do that.
Well, that's a cool talent. I mean, it's definitely a lot different than comedy, but the idea that you wanted to be up on stage from a young age, that's a cool thing.
Right.
Not everybody wants to do that or feels sort of drawn to do that.
True.
So
yeah, very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think about it much, but. It was just because it was in high school, and then I never had any luck getting a band together afterwards, and I didn't know anything about music production. And I was like, I'm not much of a solo act. Like
sure.
I really like writing with other people because I just have no confidence when I'm just by myself being like, because it's like I like to play, but I just found myself not having any motivation to be like, all right, so I got to write this song. Like I just find myself being like, I got no idea how to write a song. I don't know what to write a song about. I gotta be real specific, and then it's gonna sound weird because I'm gonna be real specific, and it's not. I don't know.
You would have been put to use on my street when I was a wee young lad. I didn't really have any musical talent, but my friend Corey Pappian lived 4 houses down and was a savant on all instruments. One of those guys. He could play the guitar and the drums and everything, and we were friends. We played like backyard baseball and things like that, But he would drag me down there, and he would put a bass guitar in my hand, and he would say, okay, Ian, put your fingers right up here on the frets, and then I just need you to keep a 4 count. He goes, don't do a thing. You start when I start, you stop when I stop. Yep. And I was like, hell yeah, I'm in a fucking band, man.
That's all.
I was like, this is rock and fucking roll, dude.
Yeah, man, but, living the dream. This is the beginning of it. I did right around the corner, Rolling Stone.
Yeah, man, he did like a lot of Elvis Presley back in the day. I remember we did some blue suede shoes, some shit like that. That was fun though.
That is fun. I can imagine those songs would be fun to cover.
Yeah.
I've never been much of an Elvis guy.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, I came from a very musical family. Everybody can do something. Except for me.
You're the odd man out.
I was like a 3rd chair cellist in like 5th grade orchestra, and then played the piano for several years. But I can't really do anything anymore.
Nice. Well, how long has it been? So, like, was it the thing where you like because you weren't in school or you didn't have like this requirement for it? You kind of found your way out of the old cello.
I don't know. It was always like I would always get very distracted. We were reading the music, and I'm looking around the room, and then all of a sudden, like I don't know, you just wait and keep counting all the time, and it was just like a little much for me. My entire family just like found it very, very naturally. They can all play everything and sing beautifully and dance and do all this stuff. And I was in the choir back in youth group back in the day.
Boy,
I was a lip syncing tenor. Yeah. And so, I would lip sync.
Lip syncing tenor?
Yeah, and I would like carry the bleachers with a couple of the other guys. So
right on.
Yeah, man.
That's pretty cool. Would you say you were a good singer?
Oh, no, absolutely not.
No? Is that where the lip syncing came in?
I would lip sync out of necessity, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. I didn't know if it was out of like more nerves or you just
no, I'm fairly tone deaf.
I gotcha.
My dad always tells a story about how he drank gasoline from a pop can at a gas station when he was young, and that is his excuse for for his bad singing voice.
He has
Me
an
and him
excuse
are the
for
only
it. He's
ones
like,
who don't
'cause
have
I
any
should
talent."
have a good singing voice. There's no way.
Right. He says it like, yeah, he should just naturally have some singing talent, but
There's no way I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to sing.
I don't have an excuse like that. So.
No, but I honestly don't believe that's an excuse. But I mean, that's certainly hard to prove.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. You know,
Yeah.
that's like,
Who's
yeah,
to know?
I tell you, like, okay, I have more questions. Why? How did gasoline get in the pop can? Why did you set down a pop can in your gasoline? Was it your pop can? Were you like going hobo route and you're like, this one's still good, and then you just took a sip and it's like,
Right.
it's got gas. And it's like, why would someone else put gas in this can?
Yeah, back in the day, you would drink anything. You know? try to catch a buzz on this gas. I don't know.
I think gas is more for huffing.
Yeah, well,
You know?
I mean, whatever you're into.
Everyone finds their thing. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
we all got to get by a little bit. You know, we find our
Absolutely.
vices. That's so crazy. That's crazy to think about. This song, like, because that would mean it would have to have had fucked up their vocal cords, and it's like,
I
and if
think
he
so.
speaks okay, then I don't think it did much damage. Like,
Yeah,
if it, like
it's all bullshit. Probably it's just one more in a long list.
I don't
of
mean to
stories.
call your dad out.
No, yeah,
But it
well.
just sounds like it just sounds so funny that as like a thing. Like, it sounds like the thing where either I'm gonna find out more information later
right.
that would make it more real, or it's just like that thing where someone was like they never really could sing that well, they could only sing so well.
No, that's
And then they
yeah.
drink a little gasoline by accident, or they just say that they did, and then they're like, yeah, that's why I can't sing. Otherwise, I'd be on America's Got Talent right now.
Right.
baby.
Well, whenever he sings, that's just the story that he tells. You know, like I've heard him say
I
that
gotcha.
500 times in my life. He goes,
Yeah.
"Oh, you know, I drank gasoline when I was," you know, he's just one of those bullshit stories that an old man tells.
he's got so many stories, and those in the day will be the stories he dies on.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I
No,
mean,
for
we're
sure.
all kind of like that to a
Yeah.
certain extent.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I love storytelling, and I love I love new ideas and, like, you know, all that jazz, and so it's probably a big draw to this whole stand-up comedy pursuit of mine.
For
But,
sure. When did you start doing comedy?
About a year ago, depending on whether or not you count the 3 months we just weren't allowed.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm probably coming up on a year regardless.
Sure.
Because I think I started in like August, either July. I started in either July or August.
Cool.
of
What was
2019.
your major reason to start comedy?
Oh man,
What was the draw?
I think the draw was the pussy money weed.
Mhm.
As
That's what
any
gets
rock
us all,
star.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we stick in it for.
Yeah.
If not for the groupies, what would we be doing?
Yep. Or the money.
No. Yes, I'm swimming in it. And, well, I think the whole reason I started comedy is just like as we discussed previously, I've always kind of liked performing, and but then I found myself being addicted to like comedy specials and everything since probably late high school, like 17 or 18. I probably started. Because I saw like Eddie Murphy when I was little, like those specials, like my parents were watching, but I was like, I didn't know what I was looking at. It was just that thing where you see it and you're like, everyone loves this thing, and then
Where do you even get red leather at?
Yeah, you're right. Like, I never seen red leather. Like, we barely see any leather. I'm like, that's rich people stuff. I'm like,
Is this man a race car driver? Motorcycle driver?
it's like yeah, exactly. Anyone who owned a leather jacket at one point was definitely driving a motorcycle, or wanted you to think that they were driving a motorcycle.
Right.
And but then it definitely was a kind of thing where you see Eddie Murphy in a red leather jacket and you're like, this has to do with Michael Jackson in some way. Like, you know, like, because you know that, but you just don't know the other thing. So you're like, oh, this must be like a reference.
This
or
is one of the
something.
Jackson 5.
this is exceptionally darker than the rest of them. But then, because at that point I thought that was something that you like already had to have a following, and then people would come and see you because
To
they
do
already
comedy?
knew you. Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
from that's Eddie Murphy, the movie star. Like, let's go. He's doing some solo act or whatever the fuck he's doing. Let's go watch it. And
Yeah,
like,
it's a big mystery, and I do hear that from a lot of people. Then, and I was the same way. You know,
Yeah.
How do you start comedy? You just can't start doing it.
Yeah,
You know, you
right.
have to. You know.
yeah, you gotta somehow
First.
build a following.
Yeah.
which as it turns out is so far from the case.
Yeah.
And
First, you first you make a movie,
Yeah.
and then that movie blows up, and then
Uh-huh.
you start doing comedy. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
There's nothing unless you're already an actor, and so I grew up with that sort of look on it, and then so like over time I'm discovering like eventually I watched Jeff Dunham and I'm like, oh, this is like clearly like an act of a thing, and then it's like, and it's funny, I'm like, oh, he's like doing just like a solo thing at the beginning, but like no one really cares about that. They just want the puppets. And then and so I was like, so basically I'm just seeing all these weird, just like the big names, the big people. So in my head I was like, clearly you gotta have a thing, and it wasn't until like 2019 sometime where I was like, you know what, like I'm funny with my friends, and like this would be amazing to do. And then I started listening to so many podcasts of people being like, yeah, you can fucking suck for like 10 years and still like become like someone who's amazing. So I was like, okay, so people clearly, so then when I realized it was a thing that I could legitimately work on, and then like I could be charming or connect with people, and I could be funny. Sometimes I'm like, I deal with a lot of other stuff that gets in the way of all that. But once I realized that, I think around the time Dave Chappelle came out with Sticks and Stones was I think just as time reference was roughly the time when I was like, fuck yeah, I should be able to, I want to do this, because I like talking about things. I like getting into sensitive things. Not even particularly that's where my comedy will go, but I like talking about the crazy shit in the news, like whether it be anything from I don't know, Caitlyn Jenner or Trump, whatever the fuck it is. Like I like talking about it. At the end of the day, I know I don't give a shit really. Like I don't really know enough about politics to have a solid opinion. I just have like moral points where I'm like I know myself well enough. I'm like I don't want to be like the guy who willingly is like, yeah, let's hurt these people.
Sure.
So that's kind of what I operate.
That's
around.
how most people are, though. Honestly, more people just need to be self-aware of that fact. You know.
Yeah.
Everybody, especially online these days, just tries to act like they've got it all figured out, like this
Yeah.
person has all the facts,
Yeah.
when realistically, this is a point that I always try to drive home, and it's very easy for me to remember for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm a goddamn moron.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
exactly.
saying? A functioning moron who
yeah.
lives who lives a functional life. And it's
Exactly.
like, that's how pretty much everybody is. You know, there's
Yeah.
the random savants who know all the stuff, and
Yeah.
those people stand out, but the rest of us are just faking it.
Mhm.
You know? Truly,
Big time.
yeah.
Big time. Yeah, because you kind of realize, when you realize everyone around you is about the exact same place you are,
Sure.
that was a huge thing for me. I was like, because I don't know if it's ego or like just the way I was raised up. Like I feel like people are made to be too conscious into thinking that a lot of people are thinking about them all the time, or like everything they say and do will matter.
Right.
And it's like, and then being in this and doing this, and the number of podcasts I watch and like I listen to and watch, just the number of people I've met and I've talked to, and then like through all the news, and especially through the pandemic, like you really get to see where people are operating. You're like, we're really not that, and then when you're like, we're really like not that different, and then you realize genuinely people don't give a shit about so many things.
No, most
that they
people
preach.
honestly just care about themselves.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's
Yeah.
actually sort of like a premise that I've been working on a little bit, and I may never do, but it's just like all this stuff about, everybody's thinking about me. Everybody
Yeah.
thinks that I'm so weird or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's actually much, much worse than that. Like,
Yeah.
nobody gives a shit about you at all.
At
all.
all.
Which
At all.
is better, and
Yeah.
it's worse, and it's better. It just depends
Yeah.
on your perspective.
Depends on how much your ego can handle.
I think it's pretty freeing. Like, when I decided, or sort of just figured out the philosophy that with the length of time that this has all been going on before us, after us, the idea that we're basically already dead is pretty liberating. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, 100%.
And so just try to be a good dude, and, try to get better at whatever I'm interested in while I have the chance.
Yeah.
And, basically just try to have a couple stories to tell when we're old,
Right, exactly, yeah.
But kind of a morbid way to look at it, but
Eventually
I look at
you
it,
will be your dad.
yeah,
Like
just
that
telling
gasoline
stories.
in a can story.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, dude. That's what I think that's a beautiful part of it is where we're all kind of living to create things or to get shit. We're all kind of living and get shit to talk about.
Yeah, man.
Like, is it because it's like because realistically, like anything you stress about or anything that you focus on are all things that ultimately in your brain give life meaning and direction. And then if you can just let go of all of that, for me it was very relieving.
Sure.
Because when you let, because I'm a very anxious person, can be, and I was one of those people who, when the pandemic began, I went from the constant feeling of like it feels like the world's gonna end, to, like the world literally stopped for like a minute. And I was like, whoa, what the fuck had happened? Like it was when you have that actually like, what is it, vindicated, validated, whatever the fucking word is, when you've been feeling that the whole time. Turns out the pandemic is pretty relaxing because like because
there's so many positives to the pandemic, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously beyond, the obvious morbidity factors and the people that have lost loved ones and whatnot, but there's so much fucking dope shit about the pandemic. Like,
they're really which is weird to say, but it was accurate.
And that's, I mean, I'm just an eternal optimist anyway, so I could, I'll pretty much find that positivity in anything if I'm just given long enough to think about it. But
I'm looking for positivity out of my popes.
Yeah, you got to, man. That's the only choice you got. I mean, shit, you obviously can do whatever you want, but for one, like, I always hated going into Hy-Vee for groceries.
Yeah.
It's just a nasty place anyway, and there's people everywhere, and you just want to get in and get out, and there's carts and blah, blah, blah. But now I just get my groceries for the drive-through pickup,
Yeah.
And you let Hy-Vee pick whatever the fuck they want. They say, let's say that we're out of this and whatever, then give me whatever the hell you want,
Right,
so
yeah.
I get some wild shit at home, I don't even give a shit. I don't even care because I don't have to go into Hy-Vee anymore. I'll never step foot into another Hy-Vee again as long as I live, and I'm thrilled about that. It was just the push I needed.
Yeah.
So now my entire routine has changed, and that's just one of the small things. But
right.
I don't really leave the house much anyway, besides to do comedy and, I mean, especially these days. But I'm
not a lot of places
basically a homebody looking out the window, so not much has changed for me.
Right. Yeah. Plus you got what, one kid?
Two now.
Two kids now.
Yeah,
Right
3-year-old and a 1-year-old.
Yeah. So you'll have somebody. So you'll definitely have experiences going on, even at your house with those with little developing people.
Yeah, it's a pretty wild process to see. Just like having a couple little dogs.
Yeah.
Toss some kibble on the floor, mop up their piss, and
smack them on the nose when they misbehave.
That's all there is to it. I mean, it's that's sort of a wild thing for somebody that still feels like he's a kid in a lot of ways. But it's like I always promised myself when I was like a young buck that, and like shit was going wrong, things were going sideways or whatever, and I felt like that I was being mistreated as like a young adult. Or like as a kid, I would always promise myself that I'll never forget what it's like to be a kid, and watching the world through their eyes has really helped me keep that promise.
Nice.
If that makes sense.
It does. Totally.
So
that's beautiful.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
dude. No, I love it. That's great. Yeah, because my brother has he has a daughter now, and she's probably coming in that 1.5-year window. But she's fucking she got my brother's genes so hardcore that she looks kind of like me, because she's like blonde and blue-eyed, and only me and my dad have blue eyes, and now she does too. And so it's just like this weird, it's like a weird thing. Like I feel like the kid looking like you probably plays in a big part of liking them, because like it's just like, because I'm definitely the guy who's like, I don't like, if I'm around kids, I definitely can tap into that and be like, oh, I can just be silly.
Sure.
And because this is like a kid, and that's all they want, and that's all they respond to anyway. But 100%, like having my net, like now that my niece is around here, and she's the cutest, sweetest little thing. Like I just find I find that I think it's just the joy of being like I get to have fun and not be responsible.
Oh yeah.
Particularly that where I'm just
Yeah.
like I get to kind of see what it's like to be like a fun parent, but also not
Not have any of the bullshit.
but also get
yeah.
to hand her off when she's like shit her diaper or something.
Yeah, man,
know?
that's great.
So
I mean,
so it's fun, but but I mean, yeah, that's just it's just one of those things. But I think going back to what you were saying is like you get to like like having that energy with you helps you live through that scope.
yeah.
You know, you just like see it's like yeah, fucking like she doesn't care about anything.
Right. Yeah. All that she cares about is just making sure that she has my full attention.
Yeah.
You know, both of them. And so, I mean,
Yeah,
basically, if I do good, then things are smooth. But if
Yeah.
I'm like tired or if I'm
Yeah.
lazy, then then it's hard. So
Yeah.
it all comes down to me.
Mhm.
We don't got to make this into a parenting podcast, but
Nah.
hey, man, that's it. So
doesn't come up too often, so it'll be a new topic
yeah,
for us.
I mean, I never like had it in my head that I wanted to have kids. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like some of my friends, seems weird to me. They were always like, "Yeah, I always wanted to grow up and be a dad." You know,
Right,
like I
yeah.
never even like
Feels
it never
like-
even crossed my mind. You know, I was just basically trying to figure out which way was up.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
my entire life. It felt
It feels like the kind of thing that if you plan for it too early, it's like a red flag.
right. Well,
know?
yeah. I did have a friend who would always say weird shit like, I want to be a stepdad. You know, I mean, like that.
Like like you want to like be a dad, but you want to, but like that. I feel like that's a dude saying I want to be a dad, but I don't want to have the responsibility of being a dad. Like
I
I
was
can be
always-
like, well, I'm not your real dad.
Right. Yeah, that was always very confusing to me.
That is
And
a confusing
He actually
thing.
ended up being, like,
He achieved his dream.
Yeah, he's fucking living the dream, man. He's in a blended family now, so he's got one of his own and a stepdad of the other one, I think.
Very
is the
nice.
deal, but yeah, man.
That's funny. That's a new thing I've never heard. Someone being like, yeah, I want to be a stepdad. It's
That's
like-
a weird goal, man. You
Yeah.
can be anything.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It's like that's the same kind of concept of I think of someone being like I want to work just enough to be able to afford to get drunk.
Right.
Like like you don't really want to commit. You just want to have like that factor in your life for fun.
That was why I got student loans, man. I wanted to have I wanted to have some loan money to get drunk on. And,
Right.
Yeah. Everybody else was going to college, and so I was like, I guess that's what we're doing now.
Right.
And
It's just fitting in the community.
Yeah, I got $10, and they're
Right.
selling they're selling $5 handles of vodka, and so let's go.
Let's go. Yeah. Hell yeah, man.
That was from about 18 to sometime in my 20s somewhere.
Yeah.
That phase.
That's awesome.
That was
A friend, we actually have a friend of mine has a picture of a old friend of mine from back when we would hang out at his apartment. I had a friend who had like well-off parents. He was a quote unquote rich kid. Like he was graduated, like he was going to college when I was hanging out with him, basically, on the tail end. But his parents also paid for him to have a townhouse, which meant he had an upstairs, which meant he had an upstairs. He lived there alone, and then like basically didn't have to take care of it, and basically just like sat on his computer for hours a day playing like video games, and like he would.
Rough
but then
life.
like, oh god, he was real miserable. Driving his Camaro around all over, and yeah, he was he just was like this tall. He was like a real tall kid who like he was like kind of like in that middle point of like nerdy and sporty. Because he looked like
Did he
a
have
kid.
any self-awareness or sense of reality?
Yes.
A little bit?
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
But he definitely had like a confident kind of past where like
Sure.
he talked about he told me once about getting bullied in high school. I was like and he would like having to talk to his counselor about it. I was like, okay, so I kind of see where what's up, Jeff? So I was like, I kind of see where some of your attitude comes from, because he wasn't like totally a happy-go-lucky like friendly dude.
Sure.
But he was like, as long as you can hang, then like we're good. So he was still chill.
But
he
that can
had,
always
like, a
help.
little
You
bit of
always like to
something
see a
about him.
little bit of sadness in a person like that.
Yeah, yeah.
you can't have that dude
Yeah.
who's rich and has it all just be happy-go-lucky as
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah, like he was
That's
the
why
kind of
everybody's
dude.
like, everybody's okay with the Kennedys, you
Right,
know?
yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah.
you guys got it, but it's pretty fucked up for you. So
Oh yeah, it's like
what you
like
think?
even recently the people are dying like from the Kennedys. Like it's just
Right.
like it will not stop until all of them are dead. But like they are still pursuing their passions or at least their careers of political faring because which is the kind of thing where you feel like the rest of your family would get out of when so many of you have been assassinated. But
Yeah, man, it's wild. I mean, I would stay off the ski slopes.
Yeah,
You know?
stay
Seems like
out
a
of-
lot of them go skiing.
don't go on a river in a boat with your kid.
Right.
That's
too bad.
don't drive in cars without roofs. But there there are oh, you need help down. No, I didn't even realize he's been chilling. Well, go jump up on the other booth. And just go back on all the work that just happened. But he did have pain, but he was but he was also that kind of kid who like didn't have to worry about anything because he got a job, but his job didn't pay for anything. It didn't have to pay for his food or his bills. He just saved up a couple $1,000s to build like a dope computer, and then kind of left his job after that and was like, I'm fine now. Like he just works if he's like if he needs something real pricey. Like outside of what his parents will pay for. So, luckily he had a little humanity in him, but he definitely had the kind of cockiness he definitely had the kind of ego you had to keep up with. It wasn't the kind of one. It wasn't the one that's gonna pull you along with you if you're like not quite there or like it would like. But he would. So, yeah, he'll hold on to it for a while because he's nice. But but after a while, it was just like. If he weren't really clicking, he would just kind of cut ties.
All right.
And whatever. So so he had a pretty straightforward way of living. Which I couldn't argue with really.
Sure.
It was like it's not like superficial. It's just more like, is this going somewhere like or whatever. But
He was just used to dealing with maids and stuff. If
if
those maid is doing a bad job, you fire fire
exactly,
that gal,
yeah.
and we will get another maid.
There are plenty of maids out there.
Right.
We don't need to. We don't need to settle.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But but yeah, no, it was just one of those things. I've definitely seen a lot of perspectives. I don't remember what it was that got me onto talking about him. So we were talking about kids before. I don't know.
Somehow I brought up college, which I don't know why I did that, and then we
I don't know.
circumnavigated our way to him. I guess,
Yeah.
but
yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I guess the point is what I learned from him is just like he was kind of an example of like people got problems that you might not expect, but also like that
sure.
doesn't mean you got to be shitty.
yeah, I mean, basically everybody has got that sort of shit going on. So that's like the old saying, right? You got to just assume everybody's fighting a battle, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's true, and it's hokey, but it's true. So I mean, it is what it is. That's
Yep.
why there's basically nobody, not too many people that have skated through to any sort of existence
True.
without going through some shit.
Mm-hmm.
And if you haven't yet, I mean, it's coming.
It's definitely coming. Yeah. Oh,
So
100%.
you just gotta ride it, man. It's
Yeah.
like a big wave
Yeah.
coming into the shore, and it could fucking crash you, or
Yep.
you just try to ride for a little bit.
Mhm.
But yeah, man. So
Yeah.
I don't know. On this topic, sort of the best thing that ever happened to me, pain-wise, and this is a physical pain, so it's it's a little bit different than a mental pain. But I broke 4 ribs
Damn.
in my left side all at once. Flattened part of the lung, blah blah blah. And this pain is paralyzing, right? You can't breathe, short breaths, short breaths. And it was one of the best things that's ever happened to me.
Wow, really?
That level of pain, it's like traveling away from your body out
Yeah.
into space. It's
Yeah.
like a psychedelic experience, because your body's just pumping out all those chemicals to try to fight this
Yeah.
pain.
Right.
And it was as high as I've ever been in my entire life. And it was, granted, I have the opinion of perspective now,
Yeah.
and there was, various
Yeah.
narcotics being shot into me at a certain point. But there was a good hour between when it happened and my first narcotics. And it was honestly like I had time traveled and that I had been outside my body, and it was fantastic.
That
So
sounds fantastic.
I describe it as this. So like your body's here, and let's see if this makes any sense. But your body's right here, my
Yeah.
body's right here. and there is like a planal universe, the same one we live in
Yeah.
here. And all sensations, good or bad or otherwise, the more intense they are is the farther that you travel from your body, whether it be pleasure or pain or whatever. Those feelings don't go on different sides of the spectrum. It's just a random scatter plot. And so, you know, some fantastic sex or whatever, something awesome is, you know, pretty far out there or whatever. But this was like a rocket had just blasted past even that. Out just deep into space.
Fuck. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so how did you get into what? How did you break your ribs?
Dumb injury. That was why I skipped past that part.
Yeah.
Nothing glorious.
I said what? But what is it? Oh, I gotta know though. Like as with the experience that led to, I feel like it's definitely. I feel like it definitely in your head you realize is outshining the incident itself. But still knowing what led up to it is good.
Well, I was playing second base in a slow pitch softball game.
Yeah.
And I've played baseball my entire life. And so if I let myself go, I can get a little bit competitive with it or whatever. So there was just a ball that was out of my reach.
Oh, yeah.
And I had missed a ball just before this or whatever. And so there was another one that was almost the same as the one I'd missed. And so I didn't want, I really wanted to get this ball because I'm part golden retriever.
You know it's coming now, so you're like, let's go do it,
So I just really dove for this ball, and then somehow it just got deflected up below my body, and my entire body landed on top of it.
Oh.
So it broke 2 ribs on the front, and then there was enough transfer energy through that it broke 2 ribs on the back, and one of those ribs, or the pressure, flattened part of my lung. And so
holy fuck.
Yeah, it was wild. And so I just sort of like stood up and I walked off of the field, and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. At first, like, I didn't really know. I was like, maybe I dislocated a rib or something, but the pain just kept going. And then
dislocating a rib like that in and of itself sounds so even just like trying, because when someone's like, oh, my shoulder's out of place, you're like, at least like, oh, they must suck, but you can pop it back into place. I don't feel like a rib.
Yeah, I don't even
so
understand
easily
how it's possible to do that. Yeah.
God.
But supposedly it is. So they showed me the X-rays.
How old were you?
This was like 4 years ago. Maybe.
That was only 4 years ago?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was much better. The only other thing that sort of compares to this is like mushrooms or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't experimented with a lot of psychedelics, but my mushrooms experiences were like,
oh my God,
very, very limited because they were so good. Like, that I was like,
you'd spread it out.
Yeah. I didn't really know, like, it took a lot of mental processing to soak in all of the sensations, all of the thoughts and feelings that I had.
Yeah.
And so, for what it's worth, I had a good shaman, my younger brother, who told me, he said it was a sunny Friday the very first time, and we were going to go out into the woods and walk along the river, you know, and he was like, if you ever start to focus on something negative, just look out at the river and let it flow right past you with the water. And that was some heavy shit. And I was like, wow. And it was actually very, very useful for me. And I've taken that metaphor with me throughout my life.
Nice. You never read Siddhartha, that a river plays a big key role at the end, so I would recommend it.
I've is that some Buddhist stuff?
Yeah, it's like I think it's Buddhist or Hindu or something. It's all led in the path of like just finding like true meaning and peace and like all these things. Like, it's the kind of book where as thin as it is written like the Bible, where it's like it's like single spaced, and it's all pretty packed in. But it's like a thinner book, and it's not a long story, but it is the story of a guy who like from India, like hardcore meditation, and then like finds flaws in the Buddha teachings, and then like then it's like basically his trip to finding true nirvana. Nice. And that sort of thing. But a river, but with the river he realizes everything he's been trying to realize. So I recommend it.
Cool, man.
If you're into that sort of thing, because it is a pretty interesting read, because I'm into that sort of thing. Yeah, but anyway,
that whole river metaphor, it really works out for a lot of things.
Yeah,
so
it does. Well, because Oh, and that's one of the things that I read that helped me in realizing was like, feeling like you have to keep up with the world, and you have to like you have to do things. Like if you want this, especially if it's a pursuit, if it's nothing, when you feel like you have to do something that is just part of like an ultimate goal that you're trying to reach alone, and there's no one telling you have to do that. You're just basing it off of like what you've heard worked for other people. It's the kind of thing where realizing that the world's not gonna fucking stop, no matter what cool shit you do. Like it's gonna. What's up, Coral? It's just gonna like the world keeps fucking moving. Like it's just fucking that's another weird thing about the pandemic is like for a minute it kind of stopped, but like, when you realize that there were so many people living, even in comedy, that had this idea of like, this could never be taken away from me. This is mine. At least I will always have this. And then it was taken away, and you're like, fuck, like this could just happen.
Sure.
Like at any point, and it's like, but it's also, I also look at it as the same kind of thing of like people who are like agoraphobic, like they're just scared to leave their house, and it's like there's a lot of just irrational fears and sort of things, because like people who are like germophobic, like that means they don't have shit for an immune system to protect them against anything.
Sure.
And then there are people who are where it's like, but what if I leave and then like I get hit by a car, or like
there's
plane
something
engine.
so great about being uncomfortable, though.
Yeah.
You know, it sort of goes back to the same thing where like pain is the same thing as pleasure to a certain extent. You know, and I'm not like super masochistic or anything.
Yeah,
but,
right.
But it's like,
at least the podcast listeners don't need to know.
Right. Yeah. We'll just leave some stuff behind the curtain.
Yes.
But that's the whole. I mean, the most exciting thing about comedy is just how nervous, like all that nervous energy and all how your heart gets going before you go on stage and you got something new and you're like, oh my gosh, this is, you know, I'm excited to, say this. I'm excited to see if I get this message out the same way that I thought it or I wrote it. And without those feelings, I mean, you know, I probably would have done comedy once, you know?
Yeah.
It's, those are the things
big time
that make it worth it.
Yes. Yeah, that's that rush, that adrenaline, like that, like, well, because that's another thing too, is like, just going along with like the whole thing is like, people be like, yeah, a plane engine could fall in your house, but you know what the fucking odds are of that happening? Fucking probably not. Like it's like, like it's probably not gonna happen. Like you getting hit by a car is probably not gonna happen. Like anything you are afraid of happening is probably not gonna happen. Like that's the real basis that I realized. It was like. But also, I can go out and like people, and like the fact that I realize that people don't really care about a lot of things, as just unless they feel like it's starting to hurt someone in their community, maybe at the least, because then they're like, I gotta defend me and mine.
Sure.
But it's also like, yeah, but also, like they're fine. Like if people met, like I watch Kill Tony all the time, and like there have been numerous times that like black jokes have been made, and then I think you'll hear Tony call out like. It's like, yeah, the black guy's laughing. Like, what the fuck are all you people oohing about? I think it's just like, just in a nutshell. Like, it's just like he always watches who's laughing, and like it happens so much that it's like, yeah, people are getting real bent up in like what they think they should be doing, rather than what is.
Right.
And so then you find out that people don't truly care. So then really what that boils down to is people don't truly care about a lot of the things that they might go up in arms about.
Sure.
Because they feel like it's hurting somebody else that they might have in their community.
You're not necessarily being your true self. You're sort of being what you think that the world wants to see.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, yeah, that's sort of a danger that everybody goes through. But
Yeah.
I mean, we all do it to a certain extent, you know. That's why it really feels so good to kind of let your guard down around the people that you're closest to.
Yeah.
Or up on stage. I mean, it feels like that is sort of a place where you can just take some major risks.
Yeah.
And you may whiff and fall on your face, or you may smash one out of the park. But either way, it's pretty cool that you even took the chance.
Right, exactly.
You know?
And it helps a lot having your own little kind of community of like maybe where you're not super close, but it's at least a lot of people who it can be like, I understand exactly what you just did, and like it's not gonna be like this every time.
Yeah, that's why it's really hard to be, you know, too like judgmental of somebody telling a joke that you don't like. I mean, I get it. There are lines and there are those things, but I think we need to be really supportive, because that's how we get better is by taking risks.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I mean, right now I'm trying to push myself to do some more longer form things, more like stories, whereas, you know, I spent a lot of time doing, you know, 3 lines or 4 lines, not even just like one-liners, but just tightly packaged little things that I'd so I'm just trying to push myself beyond that.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm not great at it, but that's how I'm going to get better.
Yeah,
is
exactly.
by trying it. And there's going to be some awkward bumps in the road where I try to figure out how to convey a long story, or to really tie it up tightly.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times I've got a great story or something that I really like, and I'm like, how do I put a bow on this at the end?
Yeah.
And that's like the biggest challenge. But also just writing about things that I really care about or that I'm really interested in.
Yeah.
Versus like if I see a Toyota Camry driving crazy in traffic and he's racing between red light to the next red light, and then I just slowly pull up next to him, you know, like, I mean, that's just not terribly interesting. And you know, it's also not original.
But that's also, I think, a feeling that we can all be familiar with when you're like, you're just trying to keep up with traffic. And then there's a guy, who fucking is like clearly in a hurry and he's trying to cut through everybody. But then you just end up right next to him going your speed.
It's very relatable
all the time. So if you can just work around the feeling that you get, and then like turn that into like the exact emotion, and then like, you know, obviously put your voice on everything. That's what it's about.
Well,
it's
yeah,
like,
and then
you know,
like, I mean, if you have a unique perspective on that experience, then, you know, by all means have at it. But it's like nobody is going to have a more unique perspective than actually your own life or your own, you know. So I'm writing about the city of Des Moines a lot right now.
Yeah, I did.
Which I describe it as like a city that I love despite knowing that it's total dog shit.
Right.
You know, and that frustrates me.
Yeah.
And I'm aware that a lot of us who are from Des Moines or who have moved here just see it as this utopian little place.
Yeah.
And you know, Des Moines, you know, God love Des Moines, but Des Moines is bullshit. You know, I say that, and I feel like I can say that because I know this city really well.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like that you can really hate something unless you know it so well.
Yep.
You know, that's why I've been playing around this. Like, I ranked all the races.
Yeah.
Okay. And my favorite people by far, are the Hispanic people. They're awesome. Some of my great friends, you know, just people that I've known throughout my life, everything about them, top to bottom, Hispanics are number one.
Nice.
Okay. The last ranked people, the worst people that I know, the people that I hate are white people.
Yeah.
Only because I know them so well. Because they are my family.
Yes.
They are me.
Yes.
What can you hate more authentically than you can hate yourself?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you know everything about yourself.
Man.
You've seen yourself in the mirrh there. And
listen
you
to my own
try to
fucking
look
voice back
inside
all
of
the
your
time.
head and you're like, oh shit, I don't know if there's anything in there. You know, like that happens.
Self-awareness is so hard to come by.
Dude, it's so traumatic to try to, you know, to really look at yourself and be like, and I did this a lot throughout my life.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, I have it resolved pretty well right now. But to like look at myself and be like, I fucking hate this guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and I was very good at just like I guess you would say compartmentalizing. So I would just like take that out of the box and be like, oh, this motherfucker.
Yeah.
You know, like this motherfucker is me. You know?
Right.
And
yeah.
it wouldn't matter what anybody else thought about me.
Yeah.
It was just like this was a thing. And then I put it back in the box and
Right. Yeah.
go, you know, I mean, drink some beers or party or whatever it was, you know? And, but the idea is to like leave it out of the box long enough.
Yeah.
And like pick it apart in a helpful way, because it's a long life. And when you're in your 20s, you're like, damn, this is it.
Yeah.
You know, this is it. I've been
Life ain't getting any better.
living forever,
Yeah.
you know, and but
This is the epitome.
life goes faster and faster and faster, and the longest days of your life. I mean, one day for my kids, feels like a week to them.
A long
Remember
time.
a summer day back in the day? A summer day
Yeah.
was an eternity. You would
A whole summer was an eternity
Well,
when you're a
yeah.
little kid. When you're a little kid, like
Absolutely.
especially like because that was the. I think that is and I don't and this is definitely not me trying to be like no, it's actually like that. Like no, because you're 100% right. Because the day itself is the real representation. But I think for me, when I started noticing that, it was when I started noticing the whole summer getting shorter.
right.
I was like, why the fuck am I going back to school so soon? Like we
Keeps
just got
happening.
here.
Time goes faster and faster and
Yeah.
faster, and so it doesn't really matter what happens through your 20s. Your 20s, in my opinion, are supposed to suck.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be
Think
miserable.
of it like every time you go to the next level of school, like from middle school to high school or whatever, they're always going to tell you the one before didn't matter. Like, or at least
Right.
that was my experience.
All
Every
that
time-
matters is
so-
where you're at.
Yeah, because by the time you got to high school, you're like, all right, so when I get to college, they're going to tell me that this didn't matter. So why the fuck why am I even going to put forth an effort to be this great high school student?
Sure.
You know?
Well, and you don't even have the perspective when you're in high school to know what it means, to know that these are just, all that you're doing right there is like sprinkling pea gravel where they're going to pour the foundation for a house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to do it. You have to sprinkle the pea gravel there, and you have to level it all out.
Yeah.
But the important pieces, and these, you know, that is an important piece.
Yeah.
But the structure, maybe you're setting up the molds to pour the foundation in at that point.
Yeah.
And you want to set them up straight, or if they're a little crooked, you got time to fix it.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't know. So that's what keeps me excited. Right
Yeah.
now I'm 35,
Yeah.
which obviously if you asked me when I was 18, I would have been like 35 is ancient. You
Yeah.
know, right now I feel like that mentally, you know, I'm like 29 or 30.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Which I would say younger, but I've kind of, I feel like that
you
wouldn't
matured,
be,
yeah.
that'd
Like
be
you've matured
disingenuous.
enough that that logically knowing where you were at that age probably doesn't feel
doesn't
like
make sense anymore.
yeah, it doesn't quite make sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
But the most exciting things, like, you know, I'm excited about the rest of the 30s, obviously, and 40. And then, you know, obviously there's a big hump around 50, which sort of fucks with everybody's head, it seems
Yeah.
like. But I'm
Uh-huh.
excited about all of it, man.
I think it's because I think that is because at one point 35, I think in the 70s, 35 was middle age. Like it was expected that you were gonna live to about 70.
Sure.
So at 35, like right now you would be middle aged.
Well, a lot
If
of people
this is the
still make
70s.
70. That's it, you know. A lot of
Right,
people
true.
still make 70.
That's true. You can't discount the ones that don't live past the
Right.
pre-projected years, and then you know the random things in between that aren't because of age. But
But that was a big reason.
but just life expectancy wise,
Sure.
you know.
That was a big thing about starting comedy when I first went up when I was 31. Besides the fact that a certain election just happened, and I was like, oh shit, the world's gonna end
Yep.
anyway.
Right? Yeah.
I might as well do the thing that I've been wanting to
exactly.
do.
Yeah.
I might as well do it. But a big thing is that I'd always like prided myself, or I'd always spent so much of my energy on like physical things, and
Yeah.
kind of neglected the whole mental side of life, even
Yeah.
that I was just kind of skating through as like a bullshit artist,
Uh-huh.
where kind of like my dad, I don't mean that in a disparaging way, but like I would just say the same stories
Yeah.
in a social situation.
Uh-huh.
I was always friends with everybody,
Right.
with all the groups.
Yeah.
But I would bop into this group,
Yeah.
and I would say a quick ditty, say hi to everybody,
There you go.
then I would get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
Before I did something stupid, or they
Yeah.
figured out that I was a moron, and then I
Right.
would bop in with the other kids over
Yeah.
here.
You're
you
popping
know?
in. You're playing. You're that fucking. I lost it as soon as I went to say it. But just that I feel like I feel like in the movies where they have a cool guy. I feel like high school movies are a good example. Just if you look at a clicky thing, where like they all have like the cooler, almost a little mysterious kind of guy. Like everyone's like, oh, like but that guy. Like that's the cool, like that's the extra cool guy. Like we got the cool guys that you'll see throughout the movie. This guy's he's gonna come in. He'll be here.
I don't know. I felt like that I was just like like I was maybe if I seemed like, I don't think I did, if I was certainly a duck on water, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it was basically just trying to pull the wool over everybody's eyes that like they didn't realize that like that I was as insignificant as I thought I was,
right,
or as I felt, but you know, putting on the airs of, you know, hey, I'm just gonna get in, tell one funny story, get out, slide over here to these people, beat bop all around, you know?
Exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah,
it's kind of interesting to look back on,
big time.
but in that sense, I've kind of always been a comedian. I always felt like, you know, just get a laugh. I had a sales job for a while that I was awful at. I was selling medical supplies.
Nice.
And don't know an elbow for an asshole, you know what I'm saying? But you'd be in these meetings with these doctors, and I'd be like, okay, well, my only real goal is to try to get a laugh.
Right.
And if I get a laugh out of all these, you know, professionals, all these doctors and nurses and administrators, then I'd be like, okay, that's it, you know? And then I would go back to my boss and be like, did you make the sale? I was like, listen, I got like half a dozen laughs in this meeting. They like me. I think it's going to be cool. I was like, we should send somebody else in for like the hard close.
Right.
But like as a company now, they think that we're pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. That's you're a good you're a little buffer. Like you could be like you know you're like the warm up, or you're the fluffer. You know.
But my favorite people that I've known throughout my life are people who didn't necessarily take me in right away.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It's like these people like. You will like me eventually.
That's how I look at this. That's how I look at all these people. And just like, you know what? If I just stick around, if I show like this is what I want to do and I'm fun and I'm just like, well, not particularly fun, but if I'm just me, which is like lighthearted and I got positive energy, if I'm like trying to socialize, because I can be pretty down. I have depression, sure. But you know, like, but that's another thing comics can often relate to. So it's just like this kind of matter of like, I find myself being like, if I can just stick it out and show that like I'm here to stay, I'll at least earn the respect, and I can at least then commingle with these people that I see as my peers.
Yeah, I'm here to stay.
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, I like that. I like that energy, man.
Yeah,
it's
man.
like,
so I'm very shy, and I often have a hard time kind of trying to find that opening to like connect. And then I also realize that at these kind of places, people are kind of in their heads, whether it's about their set or just like what's going on.
Sure.
And it's like we see each other all the time. And so it's like I probably don't even it's like even when I'm anxious, like I'm probably just projecting that out there.
Sure.
And so then it's like, so then I'm anxious and I'm like, I go brain dead.
Right.
I can't think of what the fuck to say. I'm like, okay, all these people are starting to find me annoying. Like, wait, I got to bring it back somehow. I got to have a good set so they can be like, all right, well, so he's not so bad. It's like ridiculous thoughts.
Right. You just get in your head so far. Yeah, I feel the same way, and I certainly have before.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's never as bad as it is in your head.
Right. That's it. Yeah, dude. That's one of the big fucking things that I've had to learn in life, is that it is not as bad as I think it is in my head.
Yeah.
Like that was a big thing that I think COVID helped with. I think it helped everyone kind of realize all the same things. And then, well, not everyone, but it helped a lot of people kind of realize similar things. And so people are all kind of getting to a certain point where they're kind of realizing that I should do what I enjoy, or like I should stop fucking with, like if I only have so much time here, like nothing's gonna stop moving, the world's not gonna wait for me, life isn't gonna wait for me. It's like either you got to do it or you don't. And then like the fact of the matter is like when you're 90, it doesn't matter if you were famous. Like you're still like you can still have like a decent life, and you can still you can still be like, hey, it wasn't so bad, I tried. Like, at least I tried to do it. Like, you don't have to be like, what if I had like really tried comedy when I was 20 or whatever, like, you know, like would my whole life be different? Like maybe not.
Yeah, that's
but,
the
like,
thing. I mean, like,
but who cares?
Yeah, I want the whole when I started at 31, I was like, okay, by the time that I'm 45, I want to be able to do this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Even if it's at a small level, even if it's just, you know, even if it's one of these guys that does the bar scene around rural Iowa, you know, randomly feature or whatever.
Right.
When your body breaks down, some guys, you know, stick to golf when they get older, you know, and I despise golf. And I really hope to never
not for
waver from that point. You know,
I hope to never become so rich that I start going, I'm bored as shit. Well, I guess I could give golf a shot. All these other rich fucks like it.
Yeah, I don't know. So it's like that's the thing. that I want to do when I'm old. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, 100%.
that's why I'm taking the long view.
Yeah, exactly. yeah, man. You gotta look at it from a long lens, like you said.
Yeah.
That's ideal, man. You gotta look at it like if you're gonna do it, you gotta fucking do it, stick in it. Like you can't just act like it's gonna come to you. You gotta put in some work to it. You gotta like,
Yeah,
you know,
now
whatever.
that I know this is a thing,
Yeah.
I mean, shit, like, this is the best thing, man.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, I
It's
love
the
it, yeah.
freaking best thing. And, I don't know.
I know I love it because I keep coming back, even going home, being like, no one here fucking likes me. Like, like I just like, you know what? It'll be better next time. They liked me before.
Well, man, I mean, all you got to do is just keep freaking writing and keep doing it. That's the cool thing.
Yeah.
As long as you never quit, then you're
get better.
never a failure.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
If you
Keep
quit,
fucking going.
then maybe you're a failure,
Mhm.
you know? But you're
Mhm.
always, right now, you're always just adding a brick in the
Yep.
wall or whatever that
Exactly.
stupid metaphor is. And just
Yeah,
fucking
right,
build
yeah.
back to the house building bullshit. But yeah, you're always just, you're just adding to it, man.
Yeah.
And like right now, like I feel like that, you know, I would say 2 solid years, but like I was going monthly for the 2 years before that.
Yeah.
Then you know, I would say that like right now, like maybe I'm gonna be finishing up my foundations soon,
Yeah.
and maybe I'll be about to build some walls. You
Right,
know what
exactly,
I'm saying?
yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe I'll realize that you know, there's certainly so much foundation to
Yeah.
cover, man. It's like
Exactly.
that's sort of the fun thing about it too, is that there's a never-ending
So
list of
much.
things to improve
Yes.
on. You know, I've been
Yeah.
watching lots of really good at crowd work people lately.
Yeah.
And
That's a skill to be attained. I'll tell you what.
yeah, man, that's so crazy. It's so impressive. That's like takes the art form to a whole different level, and
Yeah.
there's so many different angles you can approach the art form from.
Yeah.
That one, you know, writing things is certainly hard, and you know, and presenting them how you
Yeah.
want to, you know, getting the idea in your head to come out of your mouth
Yep.
in the right way, but also taking into account taking the feedback in from
Yeah.
the crowd is so cool.
Yes. Oh yeah.
But
gotta be
um,
willing to accept an opposing idea without losing your shit.
Yeah,
Like, it's
a
very
lot of those
helpful.
crowd work guys. A lot of that is written to a certain extent, but
Yeah.
there's such a beauty to that because it can be so bad. You know, crowd work can be so
It
bad.
can go very poorly. Yes.
And I mean, I don't know if I'm missing anybody who is just like go-to crowd work guy around here. I mean, am I
Around here, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, everybody tries you know, they ask a single question to the crowd
Yeah.
sort of thing, and it's just like a little T-ball for their
Yep. It's
for
all
their
a lead
prepared
into
bit.
a bigger thing. Yeah.
And you know, I feel like that is the foundation of it. That's sort of the starting point, but then just continuing and going beyond that and becoming really skilled in crowd work is so very impressive to me.
Yeah. Big time.
Yep.
I agree. Yeah, man. And honestly, that's a skill that I need to improve on myself. And so
There's so much, man,
you know.
and there's no rush.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just yeah, it's all you got. It's all about doing in the moment. That's another beautiful thing about it. You know, I can just do it all on stage, do in the moment. Like
Hell yeah.
because there's a lot to be said just about, you know. But they say the golden rule is like you know, like treat others how you want to be treated. But it's like you can hear that.
The real
But
golden
then you
rule
gotta-
is don't pee on people.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
Thought that was the golden shower rule, but I might be mixing things up. Yeah, no, that's
Pee on
just,
people the way that you want to be peed on. That's the golden rule.
where you want to be peed on.
Where
It's
you
like,
want to be peed on.
don't just go peeing on them all willy nilly. You gotta be
Right.
considerate
Right.
of the pee acceptor.
Yeah. And peeing
of
on
the
people's
peed
feet in
on.
the shower doesn't count.
No,
that's a
does not
cop
count.
out.
Yes, exactly. That's a cheap way of getting it out because it's already warm water going. That's gonna
Nobody
cover it up.
knows.
No one knows.
Unaware.
He's exactly treat others how you want to be treated. Just to put yourself in their piss-filled shoes
Yeah.
and really see where they're coming from.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, it's just I think just because it's we're starting to get all the micers here, it's gonna probably get a little loud and
yeah.
whatnot. But it's been a great fucking. I think it's been a really good podcast. Where can people find you?
Oh man, I am on Instagram at Comedian Pope, like the
Comedian
word
Pope.
comedian because it has my name in it.
Yeah,
I did that. It felt weird, but the word comedian and then the last name Pope. I don't really do much on there. I like make posts, and then I just delete them all. And then I'll occasionally put up a story on there.
No one can ever find anything I've ever posted. So I will be able to host the Oscars one day.
Yeah, absolutely. I am on YouTube. I put some stuff on YouTube, and I think that's just Ian W. Pope.
Cool.
So I got, I got 10 views across the board on there. 3 YouTube followers. Get
Follow
at
his
me.
dad, Ian
Ian
H.
Pope
Pope.
Nation. Yeah, they're out there. I don't know who the 3 people are, but I love you guys. Respect.
All 3 of the listeners are people I pay to give me views, so they will be more than happy to accept it.
That means you got a budget, man.
Yeah, exactly. It means I got a budget. Well, Shipman, Jordan C. Comedy and everything. They came from the underground and everything, or TCFTU Comedy on Twitter, because it's too long for Twitter. And and then follow Intelligent Idiocracy with me and Dustin Parsley. Other than that, obviously there's not a lot going on, so check us out at the open mics if you feel like coming to see us. Tuesdays, Lefties, soon to be Wednesdays at Ankeny, or Timeout or Mother's Pub. And then currently Thursdays at either Java Joe's, Teehee's, or No Shame Theater before Teehee's open mic there. But
Des Moines Comedy, man. Des Moines Comedy, come check it out.
Woo! Yeah, we could use the support in some places.
Yeah.
And then I will be hosting the Java Joe's open mic through October.
Nice.
So check that out. Come give me people to introduce, and then roast as they get off stage or on, whatever. I could use the practice. So, I hope to see everybody out there. And thank you again, Ian Pope, for coming.
Thanks for having me.
I super appreciate it. And thank you, Ann Matthew, for letting us record in Lefties.